All right, what's up, beautiful people? My name is Derek Standifer, aka Ayana's daddy, aka Derek Jr.'s papa, aka my parents' son. And I have the high honor of having a well-esteemed guest today. We have Dr. Tiffany Packer representing Florida A&M University. Dr. Packer, how are you, good man?
I am well. How are you?
Blessed. I'm highly favored. I'm excited to have you on. I met you this past year as a professor, and your energy radiates throughout the campus. All the students love you. I had an opportunity to sit in your class, and you're one of the professors. I can come in to FAMU as an engineering major, and I take one class from Dr. Parker, and I'm switching my major to history. That's the kind of professor that.
Well, that's the goal because believe it or not, that's actually how we get most of our majors because most people don't come into any university thinking that history is what I want to do. Most of the time, just like myself, just kind of initially thought of history as just being a bunch of boring dates. Why do I care about, what happens? But then they come into class and they realize that history is present. It's real life. And so that's my job to convert folks over, right? My engineering people are actually my favorite because engineering people, fence, they more than anybody come in like, all right, let's get this done. It's just something I got to do to go towards my curriculum for my degree. Was that my internet?
Yeah, you look frozen like the cartoon.
Mrs. Standifer.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we having some technical difficulties, but we will be back momentarily with Dr. Packer. Some people, some people be having that 2G network, and they be trying to save for holidays. It might be a case like that, but we'll have back in a hot second, y'all. But if y'all don't know about Dr. Tiffany Packer, she has just been awarded FAMU's Teacher of the Year for 2019-2020 school year. And I think this honor is well deserved for her. I had an opportunity to sit in on her class, and I wanted to be engaged. I wanted to do the work. I wanted to participate in class and ask questions. It was so engaging. It was a great event. It was more so like being in an open mic. I like doing poetry. I like doing open mics, and they're engaging. She's gone. Hopefully she log back in and she get us back situated. But it was so engaging being in her classroom, and I came in as a visitor and still had an absolutely phenomenal time. So we're gonna give it a hot second while Dr. Tiffany Packer logs back on. Yeah. For those of y'all watching though, until she gets back, y'all make sure y'all leave y'all comments in the comment section. Dr. Packer will be more than happy to answer any and all questions that you may have about how she has solved the twists and turns of her life. If you have not gotten your copy of Life is Like a Rubik's Cube, make sure you get your copy. For this week, I'm actually doing a how to solve the twists and turns of life personal development workshop. And in this workshop, I will be discussing the contents in this book and how I learned how to solve the twists and turns of life. And I will be sharing that secret with you this Wednesday and this Saturday. So hopefully y'all have the opportunity to join us on that platform. So let's see what she got going on. Yep. We have some internet issues, but we'll be right back on in the hot second, beautiful people. Yeah. A highlight. Right now, we're taking up space, but those of y'all who kind of know what we got going on, y'all do a. Oh, she's back. Let's get her back in.
Listen, you know what I mean? My internet, like, I'm out.
Look, it's break time. I'm tired of these Zoom meetings. You got another meeting? the internet got tired of you grading papers. Like, we're gonna close out real quick.
My internet, like, bump what you're talking about in terms of, recruiting people over to history. Nobody cares. It's Christmas break, and we're all out, including me.
Oh,
so I'm back. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. I can relate to your story about how I became history. I came into FAMU as an economics major, I believe. And
really?
took a class. I took a class from Jeffrey Mills, Dr. Jeffrey Mills, Dr. Titus Brown, Dr. David Jackson, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap.
I did it.
Master's history, bachelor's history, and then for this PhD, I'm doing a history project for my dissertation right now. It was a wrap. I fell in love with how the past affects the present, and you can kind of see that same principle of how things come back around. So, here on Solving Sundays, though, we solved we juxtapose solving the twists and turns of the Rubik's cubes to solving the twists and turns of life. So the first step of solving the Rubik's cube and of solving life is to believe. Now, what made you interested in becoming a professor? While your internet had took a break, I told the people about your prestigious award winning FAMU's Teacher of the Year for 2019-2020. Congratulations!
Yay! Thank you. I am so elated.
What got you interested in this career path, though?
Well, almost like you. I actually came into FAMU as a pre-occupational therapy major. How about that? And I took a class with Dr. David Jackson, and that just changed my life. I mean, I left every day like, whoa, say what now? I never knew that. And, it's like, if I also can be very candid, I went into his African-American history class. I've always had an affinity for history, even though that wasn't my African-American history, even though that wasn't my major at the time. But I walked into his class kind of thinking, hey, this is going to be a nice GPA booster because I'm Black. And it's not really anything I'm sure anybody can tell me about being Black and what the Black experience is. But when I went in there, I don't want to say I struggled, but I certainly had to work for the grade that I got in there, way more than what I had anticipated. Because it's like this, Dr. Stanford, if I can speak it. Yes. It's like we're Black, but we're not really exposed to anything beyond your staples, like your Martin Luther Kings and your Rosa Parks and, your Harriet Tubmans. And oftentimes even those staples aren't, in my opinion, taught correctly or in its fullness for sure. So here I was getting all of this knowledge that I had never really been exposed to before. And I was, treading it in a major way, but I enjoyed it. I was loving it. And so I left saying, my goodness, our children need to know this. So who's going to be responsible for teaching it? Well, okay, I'll do it. I'll take up the mantle. And, honestly, I knew that if I was going to be allowed to teach it how I wanted to teach it, that I was going to have to go the entire way. I was going to have to get the PhD because I know when you're in public school systems, there are certain curriculums that you are expected to abide by. And I knew that I didn't want to do that. I wanted my academic freedom. So that is what, put me on this pathway to professorship.
Thank you for sharing that. We have Dr. Robinson, a fellow colleague of yours. She says, hey, Dr. Packer, Miss Teacher.
I love her, Dr. Robinson.
And y'all, the support system of the faculty and staff at FAMU is unreal. It's amazing. Y'all really put that fam and family.
Yes. It's true.
Yeah. One of the things about history, two things about history. One, going into FAMU, I just knew that my history started at slavery. I knew that slavery was the beginning of Black folks in this country. And then once you started planting that seeds that, we had history hundreds of thousands of years before we even talk about it. That opens up a lot of confidence in our young people. This right here is a superpower. You start to realize that we come from a people who invented thinking. We're the reason for all this. And it's a different level of confidence when you're in the classroom and your lineage. So thank you for carrying the torch that you carry. That's a heavy load to burden with, and we appreciate you for taking on that high honor. She says,
I appreciate that because there have been many times that I wanted to stop on my journey. I promise you, I know I quit my PhD in my head at least 5 times. But I think what continued to push me through was that vision, right? What I had to remind myself what I was in it for, which was to teach the masses in the way that I could.
We got Dr. Daniels. Knowledge of self is key. Wholeheartedly agree. Because her wholeheartedly.
My brother, Dr. Daniels.
Bringing out the score today, Dr. Packer. That's what that is. The second step of solving the Rubik's Cube, the second step of solving life is to solve your cross. Solving your cross, it's to identify your why, your reasons. For some people, they want to make their parents proud. For some people, they want to make their children proud. Other people want to prove haters wrong. So in you carrying this torch that you are carrying, what is your reason? What are your whys? You kind of highlighted this a little bit. But could you delve a little bit deeper into your why, your reason for carrying the torch that you choose to carry?
If I can add on to it, of course, it has to do with wanting to teach children, teach young adults. But I think that, my family means a lot. My community where I came from means a lot. People always talk about how Mississippi has the worst education system in the United States. But I was born and raised in Mississippi. I love Mississippi. If I could get away with it, Dr. Stanford, I would get in my crooked letter tatted down my neck. Okay. And I am a product of Mississippi educational systems. And so I like to prove to children what we are also capable of doing, but also see it as my husband's going to work. But I also see it as my duty to the ancestors. My grandparents made a lot of sacrifices. My father and my mother made a lot of sacrifices and served as great examples. And, people always talk about Mississippi in terms of, if I say I'm from Mississippi, people are like, oh my God, ooh, they're like, but actually, my feeling is the actual opposite. We come from very strong traditions, where yes, we deal with problems of racism, but you deal with racism everywhere. First of all, but what my experience in Mississippi specifically is, if you're gonna be racist, you're gonna be racist over there, right? Look at big boy, I love it. If you're gonna be racist, you're gonna be racist over there. You're not gonna be racist in our face, in our communities. So there are some broad shoulders that I'm standing on, and I feel like if I don't do it for them, I am missing out on a huge duty and opportunity. So that's my.
Camille, she says, our duty to the ancestors. Our duty to the ancestors. They pass us the torch, and it is our duty to carry that torch and pass it forward. We gotta pay it forward. So, yeah. That's a strong why. That's a strong reason. Especially when you understand where you come from in your lineage. I'm carrying this in my bloodline, and it is my responsibility to move forward. So thank you for that. Step 3, solving Rubik's Cube. Step 3 of solving life is to fill in your corners. Filling in your corners is to surround yourself with positive people, quality people who will push you and motivate you to be the best version of yourself. I see the people that you surround yourself with. I know what kind of quality people you have in your life. And there's also the environment that you immerse yourself in. What kind of environment allows you to be beastish that you are, good man?
Oh, beastish. I like that. I like that. I think that is so important to have support in every realm, right? I am very fortunate to have a partner in my husband who understands me as a partner and not as competition. And so he supports me and I support him, and I do what I do and he does what he does, and it doesn't really, it doesn't interfere with each other. We are intentional about making sure that we're able to be our best selves, So at home, I have a good support system, and I'm very, very, very fortunate in that way. My extended family has been very supportive. My mother, my father, who's in heaven, who still sends his love, and I feel him often. my sister, my, aunts, many of my friends. I have my a wonderful set of, in-laws who are really my in-loves, um, who are supportive. And then what's really, really, really important too is that, as you stated earlier, it's not just family as a saying. It's really a practice. And I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by colleagues who really want to see me win. And I really want to see them win. And we're constantly lifting each other up. And I know what it's like to be in an environment where people don't want to see you win, or they're not invested in seeing you win. So that's why I certainly don't take my opportunity at FAMU very lightly, because I know what it's like to be in an academic environment where people don't really care about you. So just being able to be around people who are genuine and who are serious with pulling you up with them as they climb, and vice versa.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I did a
Yeah.
panel on the importance of attending an HBCU, and the professors at FAMU, from my experiences, they don't stop at just professors. They don't stop at teacher. They go to mentor if they need to. Some go into mom and daddy if they really need to.
Come on,
It's a different kind of love that I've experienced from my professors, mentors.
listen,
I didn't
listen.
know. I didn't think it was possible to get a master's degree till I started seeing my professors. Oh, you got a master's degree? Then they started telling me that you can do the same thing. Then I started seeing people with PhDs. You can do the same thing. It's that it's bigger than me. As a professor at FAMU, it's not about me. It's bigger than me. Jackson, he got this thing. He called them Jacksonites, and he wanted to create a whole bunch of Jacksonites. People under his tutelage who got PhDs.
Yeah, he is so amazing. And I tell you, I've heard people say, students say they have to defend why they chose to go to an HBCU. Because people are like, oh, that's not a reflection of reality, of the real world, or whatever. But, my response is, this is where you want to be inundated. This is where you want to be surrounded so that you can have clear understanding of self. Not to suggest that you don't have clear understanding of self if you don't go to an HBCU, but there's a certain magic that's here. And as I like to say, that this is the real deal Wakanda. Wakanda does exist. HBCU.
Yes,
Right. And I can tell you that, I did my master's at a PWI, predominantly white institution, as well as my PhD. And I tell you, if it was not for me reflecting on my experience at FAMU as a student and knowing that I can do this based on what I experienced, I promise you I would have quit. But because I saw them, because I had that experience, I knew that you can do this, you can do this. And so that was so very important. But to your point about how professors, kind of go beyond just being professors, this is no lie, Dr. Standiford. When I was a student at FAMU, it was very common that when we went into class, and the first day of class, I would have one professor in education I can remember in particular. She gave us all little note cards, and we had to fill out information. We had to write our parents' name. We had to write our parents' phone number, like emergency contact or whatever. So she was like, now miss class if you want to, for real. Like, you know what? Miss it.
I'll break the purple violation information to get you to it.
I got your daddy number. Play with it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? Only at HBCUs you get that kind of, checking.
I've been to a PWI, and you're a number. It's almost, and other people got different experiences. I was a number at FAMU. Yeah. They saw something in me that I did not see in myself, and they helped nurture it. So HBU supporter, and to my kids, only option they got. Experiencing a PWI is real. FAMU is needed and affirming. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ms. Lewis. All right. Step 4, solving the Rubik's Cube. Step 4 of solving life is to take it to the next level. Now, taking it to the next level on this cube is solving the second row in life. That's a metaphor for growing and getting better and becoming a better version of yourself. So how do you grow? How do you become a better version of Dr. Tiffany?
You know what? I think it's connected. That's one of the things I love about your steps of the Rubik's Cube, right? Is that you can't really do one without the other, really, right? So, in order to grow, I think you can't grow without being around, the right community and the right type of support system. I think the other thing too is that oftentimes as academicians, we can really be perfectionists, and learning how to just get out of that, knowing that, we're not perfect. Everything is a work in progress. And this is what I tell my students too. I'm like, when you're doing your writing and we give it back to you looking like a bloody murder because we've, messed it up in red ink, just know that professors go through that too. We have to write and rewrite and rewrite. It's a process for everybody. And it's the only way that you can grow, by continuing to just keep working and do better and do better. And none of us are perfect. We're still working at it. And so I think reminding myself of that allows me to take pressure off of myself, so that it can allow me to grow. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be willing to grow. But one of the things is not being a know-it-all. When you're a know-it-all, you kind of shut the door, bring in new information and bringing in new knowledge. But in the environment of there's people who want to know more, and intellectuals. People are, people with PhDs. It's a different mindset. Just the desire to know. People, they just want to know more. That's all it is. That's the only difference. And when you're in that environment, you can't be teacher of the year at FAMU if you're not continuously growing and better and developing yourself. It's impossible. If you just come here. I know the thing about being Black. I can teach this course better than anybody. There's no way that you can rise to the ranks you can rise to. Thank you for that tidbit. The fifth and the final step of solving the Rubik's is to see the bigger picture. To see the bigger picture is to keep your commitment to your commitments. It's overcoming the obstacles that are thrown your way. A lot of times when obstacles come our way, a lot of times people throw in the towel and they quit and they say it's too hard and they give up. But the darkest hour is right before the sunrise. So what advice would you give people how to keep your commitment to your commitment and enduring times?
Very simply, and this is something that I tell my students too. Sometimes I tell them in the midst of, slavery and, freedom and civil rights movement, I have to interweave some what I like to refer to as Packer 101s, right? Let me drop a little Packer 101 on you today. And some real life stuff, right? And so one of the things I tell them is that you have to see the vision. You have got to have a vision. And it's important to write that vision down. So when you get distracted, or sometimes you forget your why, or you're feeling frazzled, and you can go back to it for it to center you. Because when you see a vision, then you know and understand why you're grinding so hard, and you understand and you're reminded how it's bigger than you and why you have to do that. Now, I have to admit, in these types of trying times that we've had lately with, COVID and many of the changes that's come along, I've been trying to get my rhythm. I'm like so many other people. I had prior to, I was getting me a rhythm. These days I'm going to write. These days I'm going to research. These days I'm going to focus on, preparing lecture. And now that my worlds are colliding, I'm at home, I'm teaching from home, my children are at home and they're trying to go to school and, just working all of these different things. Sometimes it can be very difficult. And if I'm honest, I'm still trying to find my way, but I still, just like all of us, have to hold on to the vision, whatever that is. And when you're partnering, make sure that you're partnering with somebody who also sees the vision, okay? So that it won't be interrupted.
Fortune 500 companies, they do presentations and workshops on the importance of having vision in their company.
Really?
If a Fortune 500 company needs vision, I think the individual needs the vision for themselves as well. So thank you. You gotta have vision and stay focused on the vision. Yeah. You gotta know where you're going. Dr. Packer, So we have officially solved the Rubik's Cube. The fifth and the final step is to keep your commitment to your commitments. That's
Yeah.
the finalization of Rubik's Cube. But there's a bonus step. The bonus step is to not take the stickers off Rubik's Cube. I know you don't see somebody they try to solve it by taking the stickers off.
Right.
You
Right.
take the stickers off, you mess up the Rubik's Cube. And in life, if you try to take the stickers off, you end up messing up your life if you try to find shortcuts, wrong shortcuts.
Right.
So any advice on avoiding the shortcuts in life, good man?
I'm sorry. I think my internet went out. What's the very last thing you said?
Is there any advice on avoiding the shortcuts in life?
Oh, just don't do them. Just don't do them. You know, and look to your left and look to your right at those that took them and see what happened to them, and don't do them yourself. Keep your eyes open because somebody taking shortcuts and somebody's coming up short. Don't let that be you.
I'm gonna write that one down. Somebody taking shortcuts and somebody coming up short.
I'm just
Mr. Young Jones. Dr. Packer is my professor crush. Looking to you for improvements within myself. Thank you for all the
gosh, Jones. What it's so funny that she would write that because I just saw like a tidbit with her in between conversations with Nicole that I thought was so amazing. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take those tips. I think it was like tips against depression or something like that. It was something about the winter, I think is what she was talking about. But yeah, so thank you. Right back at you, Dr. Jones.
Speaking into existence. I like that. I like that.
Yes.
Well, beautiful people, thank y'all for tuning in and watching how we solve the twists and turns of life with Dr. Tiffany. Dr. Congratulations on all your success. I'm a big fan. My daughter has a war mentor in you. Great.
You know, I remember when I first met her, she was rolling around on the floor in Coleman Library, and you were about to lose your mind. And I told you, don't you say nothing to her. I said, don't you say nothing to her. You let that baby live.
Let no kids be.
Don't you say nothing to that baby. Let her live. She's living her best life on this floor. She ain't bothering nobody. And if somebody got something to say, I got it. Don't even worry about it. Because I don't play that mess. We don't make people choose between professionalism and parenthood. Not in 2020. So,
Bottom of my soul. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the mission that you carrying out. So be great like the lakes, be blessed like a sneeze, and you have a safe holiday, good man.
You are so amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm just so proud of you and everything that you do and just watching you always take it to the next level. I love it. And always know that we got your back here and beyond.
Like an itch that you can't scratch. Like an itch that you can't scratch.
There you go.
Good man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Yeah, be safe. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sounds good. Bye now.